Making the cut, episode 7. We're down to our final 5 designers, and this has really been a competition where it's really evolved who the favorites are and like even who my favorites are. And it's interesting to see just how each of the designers are progressing, how they're changing, how they're adapting, how they're listening or not listening to the judges, and just seeing how far they can each push themselves. Just before I get into the actual competition and what they were doing this week, there was one thing that did kind of bother me today, and that was the seamstresses seemed like they were just not completing any of the work, or not completing all of the work that the designers were sending to them. And I just found that very frustrating because, that's not what we're here. We're not here to watch Jonny running around the workroom trying to finish a garment because the seamstress just didn't really do anything on it. Yeah, she didn't like the yarn that he gave to her, so she just didn't do it. And it's like, don't you think that he probably would have liked to have known about that more in advance than an hour and a half before the runway or before the photo shoot? And I just really disliked that this episode, and I wish that the seamstress and all that stuff was more consistent for the show, because it is unfair for one person to just all of a sudden have 3 extra hours of work and only an hour and a half of time. That's not what we like about this show. That's not supposed to be an element in this show, and I wish that it would just go away. All right, back to our episode. So today the assignment was 2 looks and doing a photo campaign. So this was a little bit different because we got to see a different aspect of the fashion industry that is really needed in order to propel your brand further or get people excited about what you're doing. There were definitely some mixed results here. Our eventual winner ends up being Jonny, who made a sort of Japanese style jumpsuit plus a dress which started off as a disaster but ended actually quite nice, plus the denim jacket that he was scrambling around at the deadline to put together. So props to Jonny for getting everything done. Props to him for solving all his problems. He started with this very plain generic dress. It was not exciting. Like, Tim couldn't even like feign interest in his dress. And what Jonny did from that point of the show to what went down the runway at the end was pretty impressive. He ends up just winging it and dyeing the dress in coffee. He wasn't happy with the pattern and how it looked. Dyes it in coffee. It comes out quite nice, and then really added some more depth to the dress by changing up the bottom half and how it flowed. And when it walked down the runway, it was actually quite nice. And then on top of it, he put together his denim jacket, and when paired with his male jumpsuit, it really just worked. Personally, my favorite for the week was Sander. I mean, everybody just loves Sander. He brings something unique, something unusual, and he stole an idea from Tim Gunn to have his models change tops on the runway, which was very cool to see. And I said it last week, I'll say it again, Sander is the person I get excited about in this competition. Now, people like Jonny and to a lesser degree Megan have really risen in the second half of this competition. Jonny was kind of near the bottom-ish. He started to shore things up on his end, and then now recently he's been right at the top for what feels like every single challenge. So This could come down to Jonny and Sandra in the end, and I'd be pretty happy with that as our final two at this point. Our bottom today was really just G1's second look. She actually made one fantastic look today and one just totally disastrous look. And I felt very bad for her because, she stepped out of her comfort zone, made a more feminine look, made this dress, and it worked. She pulled it off. You could still see that it was her who had designed it. But, her second look was just a poorly fit pair of pants and a generic top, and it was just very unfortunate. And I wish that she would have incorporated a little bit of the style from her dress into a matching, say, just even one of her signature jumpsuits, but incorporating the elements that made that dress great into that jumpsuit. And I don't think that we would have seen her going home today. And also, she's given the opportunity to fight for herself, to defend her brand, to defend what she sent down the runway. And she just didn't. She was just like, well, I think I have more to show you guys. That's it. And that is not somebody fighting or even showing the desire to want to be on this show. So if you're in that position, designers, even though this is already filmed, step up, make a case for yourself. Tell them who you are. Tell them why you should stay. Tell them why that second look was trash. Tell them that you really wish that you hadn't sent it down the runway. Tell them something. Tell them that you've learned, and they can see that in the first look. But that is not what we've seen from the people defending themselves so many times. It's just been like, oh, well, I lost, see ya. No, they're giving the opportunity to save yourself, so save yourself. That's going to be it for this episode. I'm going to hop over for episode 8 right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching, everybody.